Welcome to Deep Dive, another episode with me and my dad breaking down his sermon from this past Sunday. And this week he preached a message coming from John chapter 16, verses 29 through 30, titled, "What Convinced You?" So just starting off, kind of, what's some stuff that you may not have got to that you'd like to just get out today just to start?
Just thinking about why do we believe what we believe? What do we really, because something has convinced you. We think about the disciples' life, and they walked with him for 3.5 years, and they constantly was questioning. And then you just kind of, when you're talking to people, do you try to get buy-in, or do you just try to get them on one accord? And I think that's different, the language for me, because it kind of hit me as I'm going through. Because Jesus never spent time trying to get buy-in. He just says you need to abide in my Father. If you see my Father, you've seen me. So he didn't spend, sometimes it's just wasted time trying to get him to do that. And that's what really hit me when you think the overflow of all this, like, wow, we got to spend more time of getting people on one accord, not trying to get them to, you need to do this because of this. Either you trust him or believe in him, and you're going to move with him, or you don't. And that's really where we are.
Yeah. Not only did he not try to get buy-in, but he didn't sugarcoat nothing, and he told it how it was. People would really run up to Jesus and ask, "What can I do to follow you? Can I come with you? Can I do this?" And he would just say it plain. "You can, but this is what comes with it. This is da-da-da. Let the dead bury the dead." He said all these hard truths to people, and they either made the decision to say yes, like the 12 disciples, and come, or they made the decisions like the other guys who, like the rich young man who turned around and walked away sad. He never. So I think that is huge. One of the things that I was constantly thinking about, because a lot of the message was talking about our talk, and because the scripture is how he finally made it plain. But one of the biggest things that help convince people is an actual life well lived. If I can see that, okay, for as long as I've known you, this is what you've been saying, and at the same time your life has matched it, I'm more willing to see what this is really about, versus if I'm hearing what you say, but it's not lining up with, I think Trevor says it, your audio has to match your video. And it's it just, when I'm thinking of convince, I think that's a big piece of it. Talking is one piece, but that video has to match it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Jesus was the ultimate model. He showed the way versus talked the way. And unfortunately, you find out a lot of us, we talk it, but then our walking ain't backing up the talk. So you have to be very careful and understand where you are, because again, the great enemy uses whatever he can use to try to catch you, try to trip you up. That's why they use all those words and things to try to trip Jesus up. But I'm going back to just thinking about again, and I've just been thinking about a lot lately, the book study we did a while back, the hidden years of Jesus, those anonymous years, 30 years away from the public, just getting strong, built up from the inside out to come out and walk for 3.5 years. So when we think about how much work needs to be put in, if you put that in any part of life, look at all the practice that comes in for a 2-hour ball game, 3-hour ball game, whatever. And whatever sport it is, the game's only 2 to 3 hours, but look at all the time and energy that it takes. And if you think back to the summer, all the stuff all the preparation it takes for the 2 to 3 hours, it's powerful. That's the example. He was away for 30 years before people got a chance. That's powerful. Just sitting and eating and learning of Christ and all the things. So he couldn't get put off mission. He couldn't be taken off. And that's a powerful piece, because then people had to take notice. They said they were astonished. They were shocked. They were surprised. What manner of man is this? That even the winds obey him. Whatever you keep going. He can get up out of a sleep and say, "Wind, be still," and it was still, and the storm ceased. So when you just think about all those things and all the time of people are really watching what you do versus what you say.
Yeah, and I really don't want us to miss that cold nugget, man. When you're talking about the hours of practice, and I mean, you put in probably just in a regular week, 10 hours of practice time for the 2-hour game. And then, like you said, you do the whole summer. That's when you look at Jesus, them 30 years, he goes into the wilderness, gets tempted by Satan. Those are the moments we need it for. When he sees the woman at the well, he knows exactly. These are the moments, and too often we miss it because what Mama preached the other day, you got to stay ready, so you don't got to get ready. And it's just, we're too busy we're so now focused that if we would sacrifice a little bit of our now, we'd be ready for these opportunities to showcase who Jesus is, which may help convince when he's using us just as his mouthpiece. Nothing special with us, but when we're ready, he can use us just as the mouthpiece.
I mean, I think even in one of the major points, do you know him or know about him? Unfortunately, a lot of people just know about him. But he knew his Father, and he would make it plain. That's why they said that's blasphemy, because they said, if you've seen the Father, you've seen me. We are one. I do everything he's told me to do, and greater works are these that I'm going to do than he did. I mean, it's so, because when you're locked in like that, when you are so locked in to Christ and his mission, it's hard to get knocked off. The problem is that it sounds good, but in theory, man, when it's said daily you must. You must die daily in order for God to be glorified daily.
I want to read the text you preached from. His disciples said to him, "See now, you are speaking plainly and using no figure of speech. Now we are sure that you know all things and have no need that anyone should question you. By this we believe that you came forth from God." A lot's happened before this. I think that's important for folks to understand. A lot has happened. And we just get them saying, by this we believe that you came forth from God. We're in chapter 16 of John. There's only 21 chapters. Like we're getting close to the end of what Jesus was doing. And it's not until now that they believe that he came from God. I think that's important because so often we can get caught up in the whole show, the production, all the other stuff that comes out of it. But if God hasn't opened up their ears to make it plain to them, they just not going to see him for who he is. We can have the best sermons, we can have the best worship sets, we can have the best lights, and we can have the best atmosphere, the best greeting team, the best outreach things. If Jesus isn't opening people's ears and eyes to hear him plainly, they're not going to see him for who it is. And I just think that's so powerful. I mean, we're talking about guys that was walking with him for them 3.5 years. So you can, I'm not putting a real date on, but you got to say at this point, you'd say they 2.5 years in. You got about a year left of what's going to happen, maybe even closer to the 3-year mark, and got about 6 months left, just going based off of where you're at in the book. And it just now hit them that he came from God. We got to just be more patient, really just trust that these are God's people. And as long as we stay faithful to him, he'll open up their eyes eventually.
Well, you know what it says, for lack of understanding, the people perished. Yep. So confusion is the enemy of lack of understanding. You got to put the work in. You just said that's why it hit you. You can't gloss over that. Look at all the hours and time. Are you abiding in him? I mean, this is to start thinking, man, are you meditating on it? How much time are you putting in? So no wonder. Jesus put 30 years in before he came out. That's powerful. It just kind of dawned on me just a few days ago, just doing some study. I'm like, man, no wonder. He's put 30 years in of studying his Father before he walked for 3.5 years. So the disciples, when you're thinking about that, look at all of it. Cause out of their lack of understanding came confusion. Well, Lord, why? And everybody, and if you don't understand, you're gonna constantly say why. Well, why do I need to do this? Why do I go this way? Why? I don't even understand that. We don't have the money, we don't have the time, we don't have the energy. Look at all the things that come out of there because we have not spent. Because he tells you, If you knew the word, then you wouldn't be asking all these questions. You would just be on one accord. You would know that my Father who in heaven owns all. So I got a cattle on 1,000 hills. So if you need I got one for you. Come on, I got this. I've never seen the righteous forsaken nor the seed begging bread. Come on. I mean, it just, and it covers all parts of life. I was young, I'm old, and still look at all the great things and wonderful things that have happened.
Right. One thing I want to get into is you often say, there's that 13 to 32 window in your life, and 32 is when you really started truly loving him fully and really taking that next step. Do you remember that moment? Because to me, that moment's kind of like something happened that convinced you in that moment to take you from that 13 to 32 to the phase you're in now.
Yeah, I kind of remember that it's part of life going through. I had just, Barry be the head coach at Kentucky State University, life going, things is coming so fast. And when I really stop and think about it, it's like, wow, how? I didn't even put in for the job. And God had given it, and it just kind of made me think. And then people were asking me, how did you get this? And I was saying, God. And I remember the theme that first year was chosen for greatness. And so it's like he gave it to me. So I had to really learn to start walking in that. And because he knew, I remember now, he sees all things. And then 3 years later, I'm fired. So you're going through all this, you got to be able to handle it all. And so I understand, because I would just wonder if I hadn't totally sold out and bought into him, how would I handle all the other stuff that came with it? You're talking about the good, the bad, the ugly of life, and you'd be like, wow, through that whole stretch, what really convinced me? Like, how? Come on. And the other piece was, worldly, I had done the worst job I'd ever done in my football career. I was 2-8 and ended up and got a promotion and got the head college job at that age. So when you start putting it all together and start thinking like, wow, God is amazing. And that time they tell that story, it was over 50-something applicants for the job, and I wasn't one of the applicants, and the job came to me, and the AD at the time was like, everybody kept telling me that you're the man for this job, you're the one. And I was there for 3 years, and you just think about all the stuff that happened, all the different things that happened, and you just start to realize how good and wonderful and amazing God really is. And you just know, you just got, and like I said, the way and that theme that year, chosen for greatness. And then you just start to realize all the things that happened from there all the way through, and then you can't do nothing but, man, God, I'm on your team. I'm sold out to you, because, man, you just showing me. I wasn't in no position. I didn't have the accolades and all that, and yet I got this promotion.
Man. Yep, that's powerful. I know when I was thinking back over mine, it was like my sophomore year of college. It was my junior year in that area is where it really was happening. That's the moment when playing football at UK, I'm on the leadership of UK's FCA group, and we're doing great, having a good time, building nice relationships or whatever. But I'm still doing my life, whatever I wanted to do in the background, but I'm doing that. And it's in that moment where I'm meeting dudes that come from rough homes and having to send their money back. So I'm starting to see like, oh, okay, maybe God's put stuff in me to be able to help people and be able to do more for people. So that kind of sparked it. And then, it's always interesting that we're still in John. When I had a mentor that one of the FCA guys, he'd get lunch with me every week. And that's what we went through, just the book of John. He just broke down various parts to it. And like that's kind of where not only was I convinced per se, but it became my own is more of honestly what it was. Because it was always just, mom and dad do it. I mean, it's important. And I taught VBS would help with whatever, just because you feel like that's what you're supposed to do. But it was in that window when it truly became my own. And then, like we've always said in football, all in. I mean, it's from that moment on, it's just been, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it. I can't, the same way we played football, same way you do this. It just doesn't make sense to put all this effort and all this time in if we're not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what convinced me and what's birthed so much of the stuff now that comes into mind. You just see the need, and you know God's blessed you and put you in position to do it. So now it's just learning and figuring out how you can do it. And I think that's just made your faith stronger. I mean, you telling the stories of not even putting in for the job, and then you got there. And same thing with where I'm at right now. I didn't look for this job. The job I'm at called me, and the opportunities that's coming along with it now. It's like, if you just live life with a decent memory, I don't got a good memory, but just a decent one, your faith will constantly grow, because I mean, he's constantly just showing you how much he loves you. Even if you don't know it's him, before you was even calling it God, it was him, and he was still there. And every coincidence that people likes to call was God moving and doing something, putting you in position for something that you had been working and ready for. And at the time, you just didn't know what to call it, but it was God. And that's really just opening your eyes and looking helps build faith, which was that last question that you had asked.
I just think that you just summed it all up. Because really, you can say it that way. When did you start living it? You was teaching it, you was talking it, you knew the church lingo, you knew how to maneuver around. That's what you're supposed to do. But then it just took over your life, and then you started living this. And then you started seeing the fruits of your labor. Then you started realizing, wow, man, when I give God the first fruits, when I try to live out these Beatitudes, when I try to live out the fruits of the Spirit, then you start, wow, okay, it is better. I mean, it is. Man, look at my life. And then you start, I'm not bragging. If I am, I'm talking in third person, bragging on him. I expect to be blessed. I've been young, and now I'm getting older, and I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. So I expect to walk in it. And I know what Paul meant now. So you just start, all these things start coming out. I've learned to be content, no matter what state I find myself in. Then you start thinking about all the parables, and you're telling the story. You're like, wow, it's amazing. He was the same God of the young kid who mother had him at 17 that grew up in the project, was a welfare. So same God that was a provider there. The same Jehovah Jireh there is the same Jehovah Jireh. So it doesn't matter if you're making 6 figures or you're making $10. Yeah. He's still God, and he's God all by himself. And so that's when you start, wow, yes, I want to give him my best. He gave me his best and I shared with a guy today, just about an analogy, just talking about how you just know. I said, I used to live it. I like telling the story of how this is how you got to look at living a sinful life versus getting sin on you. Because I was telling about one of my points I was making for next Sunday. We were just talking about some things, and I said, so when I was living in sin, I woke up in the morning and I went outside and I was looking for the mud holes to jump in. And I just water whatever that sin bucket mud hole was, I just water in it. But now I know what they are, and I'm trying to avoid them. And every now and then somebody might ride by and splash it on me. Dang it. And you're trying to wipe it off of you because you know. And he said, man, that's powerful. And I said, that was what I woke up doing. When you're living a sinful lifestyle, you didn't call it sin or whatever, but you went out and you jumped in the sexual mud hole, the debauchery, whatever the sin is, you just jumped in it and you watered and had a good time. But then when you start living for him, you trying to avoid the pit hole, you trying to avoid this and that, and every now and then something gonna jump on you. It's gonna splash on you. But because you're living it now, you're prepared, you vigilant, you're obedient, you got your head on a swivel because you know that the great enemy's coming after you trying to trip you up.
Yeah, no, that makes me think of what we read in Ezekiel this morning, just talking about holiness and understanding the standard that God set. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I just think it's something that we miss, Jesus came because we kept falling short, so he perfected it and did it right. Jesus didn't come lower the standard. Jesus didn't come say, because I did it, now don't even try. I think that distinction and the way you put it is just so beautiful. I'm not going out here with the intent of doing this no more. I'm genuinely trying to avoid it. I'm human. I'm thankful for Jesus. The Bible's full of stories of people who tried but couldn't get it right, and I'm right in line with those people. But the difference is, at some point when it becomes plain to you, we're trying. And it's not bondage, it's freedom. This is something you want to do. Like the disciples said, we know you come from God. If we truly believe that you came from God and you came because you seen the suffering world couldn't get it, so out of love, you came down here and suffered so that you could fix the relationship between us. When I learn what makes you happy, what pleases you, that's not a burden. That's an honor. You did all this for me. I mean, we can see it in the physical world. Someone does something good for you. Someone mentions your name for a job, or you want to get them a gift. Someone does something oh, you want to do this for them. But then whenever Christians talk about living to the standard, oh, you're trying to put me back in bondage. No. If you believe this, that's just the reasonable response. You gave up your seat in heaven. You came down and suffered for me. The least I can do is read your scripture, see what makes you happy, and genuinely try to live that way. And then but ending how we started, that's never going to happen until your eyes are open, until it's plain to you, until you can hear and you're not hearing figurative language anymore. You got last comments?
I just think that you said it earlier. You asked the question: how does your life gets on you, gets all around you, gets in you, and at the end of the day, it should make your faith grow stronger. Because the faint of heart, the weaker one, it could have killed him. But look, you came through it. You built tough enough to handle this. So when we're going through, and I was sitting looking at, because man, you start thinking about the character of Jesus getting inside of you, becoming a part of you. You start to see, and you want to model that. You want to be different. So you anticipate, what's that look like? What's that feel like? You have a whole different type of mindset, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is, to walk out here and say, you know what? I'm gonna be just like, I want to be just like Jesus and his disciple. Yeah. And I think when you do that, then you start to realize, wow, I'm stronger than I realized. Man, I want more of what Jesus got, and I wanted that. And I remember when I thought I wanted that and how hard I went and how, and now I'm over here and realize the benefits of walking with him, of loving on him, and him loving me back. Oh man, I don't want no more of that life. I don't want that life I thought I wanted and was chasing that stuff and all of the debauchery and the stuff it brought and all that. And I'm just thankful I'm on this other side now, and my faith is getting stronger and stronger each day.
Amen. That's another episode of Deep Dive, guys. Keep getting in your word. Keep studying for yourself. And we just hope and pray that it becomes plain to you. And if it's not, just pray that God opens up your eyes to see and opens up your ears to listen, so that you can have that same fire in you to really just live it. Not just hear it, not just read it, not just see it, but actually live it. So people can, when see you walk, and say, hey, that guy's audio and video matches. We love you, and we'll see you next week.